Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio.
And today is October 14th, 2025. I think we're just going to timestamp as many relevant current affair things as possible so you know what's happening at the very top. Because I've discovered when people don't do this, like in articles, or social media videos, I get very confused. And it feels really mean because I'm like, did this just happen? Or is this old news that's re-happening? Because it just feels that way, Anney. It just feels that way. But anyway, and yesterday, just in case you needed to know, was Indigenous Peoples Day. So we wanted to take a minute to celebrate another Indigenous activist because there are many out there. I feel like when it comes to activism, Indigenous in itself is activism. So, just as a reminder of what Indigenous people do for us. But it was. So we wanted, again, to celebrate another one. And this time we are celebrating Brittany Woods Orrison. So Woods Orrison is a part of the Koyakan Dene from the Dilectanit, Alaska, which is a small village on the Yukon River. And just in case y'all didn't know what was going on, there's a lot of things happening in Alaska. Several people have died or are missing because of the storms. And recently, due to a typhoon, I believe Typhoon Halong, which has happened in Alaska, and people are in chaos. We haven't heard much about it because there's so many bad things happening, but I feel like it's something that we do need to pay attention to, obviously, because there are many people who are talking about the fact that they are not getting help, they're not getting attention, they're not getting aid or services of any sorts because our administration has decided to focus on fake wars in other places. But with all of that, yes, things are happening there. And so we wanted to bring attention to some of the activists there so we can know what's going on because, they're going to be the people who are probably at the forefront telling us the truth of what is happening. And Woods Orrison is someone that I would also pay attention to. So she has many titles under her belt, including activist, digital equity advocate, filmmaker, athlete, and model. She is out there. She's also a culinary chef, studied in the Bay Area as well. I'm like, how do you have time for all of this? Because I'm thinking about the many times I'm just tired in researching people like her. I'm like, wow, you're amazing. I love you. Also, are you not tired? You do you, though. You do you. You do an amazing amount of things. But in her own words, she talks about her life as a part of a small village with her community, then transitioning or adjusting to the transition of being a part of the city life, but holding on to her heritage. So if you read through her story, she talks about being from that village with her grandparents and her people, learning to fish and learning about their own culture and not knowing anything different. And then schools being closed down or funding happening. And so she having to move into other areas, going to different boarding schools, trying different areas, moving to California and things like that. So she knows a lot about this type of displacement. A part of this is allowing also for her passion and heart to grow and gain equity to continue to share for her people and the stories, as well as preserving their culture. One of her important work is getting digital accessibility for areas around Alaska. So here's a bit from her Vogue interview. She was just featured in 2024, I believe with her cousin, which was really sweet. The article says, it's a matter of pressing importance to Woods Orrison, who works as a broadband specialist bringing digital equity to Alaska natives. More specifically, her advocacy focuses on affordable internet access for all, including those in the most isolated rural areas. And I know, Anney, you lived in Alaska for a while, so I'm sure you could kind of talk about some of the things that you'd witnessed and the importance of equity as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was very, very young, so most of my stuff is secondhand that my parents told me. But it was a big deal. My dad was a professor there. I don't remember this, but according to my parents, they would send home VHSs.
Oh, wow.
Of classes because you couldn't always get to the school. And so I can only imagine, who's to say back then who had a VCR and who didn't, who had a working TV and who didn't. And I can only imagine that when you add in the internet and the technology required for that, because we've done an episode on the internet gender gap.
Right.
And yeah, but it was definitely a thing that my my dad as a professor talked about was how to get information out to people.
Yeah, no, we haven't, we had that one episode, and then I know we did an interview with a running-in activist who talked about accessibility as well. And when we talk about activism, when we talk about protests, when we talk about keeping governments accountable, how important digital access is. And then again, we talk about medicine. We've been talking about telehealth, all of that, and how that slowly goes away. We just had an interview with Dr. Sharon Malone, who talked about that as well, and how we really need to learn to embrace some of these things because it can be life-saving accessibility. And broadband is one of those. And I've seen that term coming more and more. I feel like I'm still behind in knowing that it's been there, but it's not given the name and the credit that it deserves today, including her. And she's been working with Alaska Public Interest Research Groups, or AKPIRG, as a broadband specialist. From the same Vogue interview, they write, Wood Orrison herself grew up without internet access at home. The importance of the initiative was clear to her. She has vivid memories starting Circle Middle School of waiting with her cousins outside their tribal council building, hoping to get online. Quote, surrounded by mosquitoes, maybe a bear was walking behind us, and still to this day, you'll see people outside in like negative 30-degree weather trying to get on the internet. This is the current context. Oh my gosh. And Alaska has been in need of digital accessibility for a while, which we've talked about, again, when it comes to assets like medical and educational, social needs. It's a must. It's something that we need nowadays. From AlaskaMagazine.com, they write, quote, Alaska ranks last among U.S. states for internet access. The most service is the southeast and south central Alaska, and the least, which often means none, is in southwest and interior Alaska. But even where access is high, like in southeast Alaska, some rural communities go without. Urban residents can lack affordable access too. Statewide, Alaska Native people are twice as likely as Caucasians to lack access, and according to Broadband Now research. And that is unbelievable. If I remember correctly, I believe the current one of the current representatives from there had all of this as a part of her agreeing yes to the big beautiful bill, and that got shut down. Just pause in that respect. And of course, with access to the internet, it helps bring a bit of equal footing when it comes to the arts and film industry. Woods Orrison is a filmmaker herself and knows the importance of internet access. With her experience and her background, she's been busy working to achieve as much as possible and get connected with as many others as well. Again, back to her Vogue feature. Quote, seeing what she needs to achieve, she dove in, connecting with as many organizations and people as possible. Her approach was straightforward. She told them, this is who I work for. These are the goals. I'm an Alaska Native. I grew up without the internet. I have this vision for the internet in Alaska. The vision that Woods Orrison shared was of Alaska Natives being able to live in their homeland, to move back from the places they've had to relocate to for work and schooling, and to reconnect with their cultures in old ways and new. Because a lot of us, we move out of state and we get completely cut off. The first time I heard my language spoken fluently was on Zoom at a class when I was in California. Affordable, fast internet is also essential for climate crisis-related economic reasons. Not only does it expand across to opportunities, but it can fundamentally change what those opportunities are. And they quote Woods Orrison saying, I dream of diversifying our economy. And she goes on to talk about the oil industry and so much more, and how this is kind of really taken away, obviously, from her community and from many of the natives of Alaska. And I think there's so much to this conversation that, again, we need to delve into when it comes to a lot. Like, if we did regional episodes, that would probably take us 5 years, Anney. And then we would have to come back and revisit each one because there'd be new things every time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, y'all, that just hit my mind. I was like, wait, because when we talk about the accessibility for Alaska, I don't think we talk enough about what they've contributed, what they're lacking, what they need, and how often they are ignored, and how they are a big community that have been colonized and yet left alone, much like Puerto Rico. It's such an odd, dissonance in this conversation. And she's been working hard to bring as much attention and credit to the practices and principles of Indigenous cultures with her own works with different independent films and her continued work in advocacy. She has been busy. From her website, it says, she writes, in 2025, I'm transitioning into full-time freelance work. I've become a tanning high teacher. I'm making my own films, taking on multiple different roles in film work, writing, interviewing, teaching Native games, being an international Native games athlete, and engaging in all the cultural community work that I can dream of. And she talks about relearning her language, which we've talked about that importance, how Native languages are so important and oftentimes overlooked purposefully. We know that colonization wants to acclimate everyone into one specific type of hierarchy of culture, and that is appalling and disgusting and is genocidal. But in all of that, she continues to work hard to get these attentions. She was featured in Vogue wearing her community jewelry and necklaces and gear, and I love that. We love all of this. And we do want to see what's going on in Alaska, and if anybody knows that information or has more information about what's happening, please let us know.
Yes, please do. You can email us at hello@stuffinevertoldyou.com. You can find us on Blue Sky at Mom Stuff Podcast, or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff I Never Told You. We're also on YouTube. We have some new merchandise at Cotton Bureau, and we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer Christina, our executive producer Maya, and our contributor Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is a production by iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.